District 3 is a district that a lot of times there's a lot of opinions, but not a lot of facts. And I think you have to understand the facts to know why this happened, or why City Council voted on this, or why we're doing this way. And then I'm not saying it's all right? Some of it may have not been right, and I'm reviewing that, because if it's not right, I want to make it right, if I have the ability to do so. And I think this is all a collective as a new member of City Council that's only been in office for a little over 10 days.
You're making a mark already.
Man, let me tell you, I have been hit by everybody and their mamas. Yes, and they have been basically, everyone's issue is a fire. You can definitely feel the absence that Councilman Young's passing has had on the residents within this community.
Explain that. You said before our show started, I want to understand. I went to school with him. He was quite a guy.
Yeah, let me tell you, he was a brilliant man. I was
can't say that about me.
I was on the Rose Scott show, and she allowed me to listen to a recording that they had of Councilman Young, and he was speaking, I believe, about affordable housing. And the conversation that he had, what he spoke on, was just brilliant, and you often was like, wow, I kind of felt like, wow, I wish I would have had more time to spend with him, because this man was really a brilliant man. But I say that I feel like the residents are you can tell there was an absence with his passing, is because everybody now has an issue. And these issues are like fires. Everyone has a fire, and they want you to put it out immediately. And it's almost like they've been waiting, So I'm being hit with so many different things, but one thing I can say is District 3 has been so supportive of me. I mean, I've gotten text messages, phone calls, and they're like, hey, Antonio, don't worry, listen, we got you, we understand you're just getting in there, let us know when you're ready. So it's been a good transition.
Well, we had first-hand evidence of fires last Tuesday when you couldn't make the show because you were overwhelmed by constituents needing to talk. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just, it was a lot of craziness going on. And we were addressing it, and it's expected. I'm new in this position, and everybody has an urgent issue, and everything is really important, and I recognize that.
Let's talk about being new. You were virtually a nobody politically, and some thought this a major political upset. How did you pull this off? Who are you? How did you get this? You must have been pros like Jamar Salam with Elvis, and Byron Amos, who was in the runoff with you. These are political names. Here comes this fashion guy.
Yeah, I think that, I think what people have lost sight of in our society and our world as a whole is the true power of faith in God. And when you understand the true power in the faith of God, you understand that nothing is impossible. And for me, I saw God in the details of this race. And I would tell people that, and they would look at me with this dumbfounded look like, what are you talking about, God, in the details of this race?
Like I right now?
But I really did see God in the details of this race. Even I remember when I was in court, when they were trying to overturn the election, and I was in court. I was on trial for like the whole week, and my opponent was campaigning the entire time, and everyone was like, you haven't even been out there, the election is next week, there's no way you're going to win this. But I knew when the judge overturned that case and dismissed it, God spoke through my spirit. It was like, you're going to win this election. And I knew it. And I started to think about all the other things that happened in this campaign. And I realized, like, wow, that was God. Oh, that was God. Oh, that was God. And even though I may have recognized it then, it was kind of validated through this whole process. So when people say to me, what you did was impossible, I remind them of the scripture in the Bible that talks about faith as small as a mustard seed. You can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and that mountain will move, nothing will be impossible. And my life is a reflection of that scripture because, listen, I grew up poor. My parents were in and out of prison most of my life.
Really?
Yeah, I dropped out of high school at 15. I self-taught myself. I never went to college. You know, to have an individual like that, to overcome all of those adversities and those hardships in my life, and to be able to be sitting here with you, Mr. Eaton, talking about my position as the newly elected city councilman, that's nothing but God. And it's not only just what God has done in this race, God has used me as a vessel to show people the possibilities within their own life. Because a lot of times when we grow up in conditions and environments that are not conducive of success, we become to society a statistic. And that statistic is, oh, because you went through this, you're going to end up in jail, or you're going to, be dead or on drugs somewhere. And my life was none of those things. And that's why I tell people all the time when they say to me, oh, I feel so sorry for you for everything that you went through. I tell them, I'm thankful for everything I went through. Absolutely, because God allowed me to experience these things so that my life would be a reflection of the possibilities in someone else's life. And also to shape me into the person I needed to be. So that going through everything I went through in this campaign, where they threw everything and the kitchen sink at me,
You were a target.
yeah, I was able to overcome those things. Had I not experienced what I experienced in my past, I may have quit and not moved forward in this race and wouldn't be before you today.
Again, you developed a successful business. But why did you want to be on the city council? Why did you want to be the first openly gay guy to be on the city council? That's a record-breaking thing in itself.
Well, let me tell you, so I'm glad you brought this up, right? So, I never wanted to be on city council, to be honest with you. Again, this was God. I have moved through my whole life through my faith in God. And
It really sounds spiritual and religious. That is an underbelly of everything you do.
Spirituality is the epitome of my just my being, of everything I am and everything I will ever be. But I say that to say, I never planned on running for city council. To be honest, and the truth be told, I was originally running for a congressional seat.
Okay.
I was going to run for this congressional seat, and it was said that this particular congressional seat, who was running in it, that they were going to lose. And the polls had showed that they didn't have a chance, that they were going to lose. So I had already began planning to run for this congressional seat, and it didn't work out. And they ended up winning after everything was said. And then I told my mom, I called her, I was like, well, what am I going to do now? All my plans were around this, and, so it's so funny how we got, you hear people talk about how you can have all the plans in the world, but none of them matter, because the only plans that do matter are the plans of God, and God's ordering your footsteps. And so I went through this, and my mom was like, pray on it, don't worry, I'm sure God will guide you. And I prayed, and I woke up the next morning, and I got a phone call the very next morning. And they were like, hey, we think you should run for the city council seat. And I was like, what? No, I'm not interested in running for the city council seat. And I hung up the phone. And then I prayed on it again, right? I prayed on it again. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. But I prayed on it. The next morning, I woke up again and got another phone call. And it made me think about that story that's in the Bible about how there was that guy stranded in the water, and God sent all these people, and he kept saying, oh no, I'm waiting on someone to come save me. And then he drowns and dies, and he asked God, well, why didn't you come help me? And he's like, God said, I sent you all these people, and you just kept letting them pass you by. So after that second phone call, I said, you know what, I'm going to run for the seat. And I maintained my faith in God, and I moved in the order of the footsteps he set before me.
Has this been a difficult or awkward transition from businessman, private citizen to now a public official in the throes of city politics?
No, because I think those people who have known me my entire career here in Atlanta, not to toot my own horn, but I've been successful my entire career here in Atlanta. I mean, I've been honored at the state capitol. I've been on the cover of several magazines. I've been able to do great things that have always kind of kept me in the spotlight. So that wasn't really a transition for me. I think more or less the transition was me adapting to the fact that I was now in a position that I never anticipated being in necessarily, that I'm now responsible for 40,000 residents in an entire district where majority of them are struggling and need support and need access to resources and opportunities to move their lives forward. And that has been what has weighed heavy on me in understanding. But I know that God never gives us more than we can bear or carry. So I'm ready.
Has the LGBTQ community been pivotal to your success? Has that been a political muscle behind you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have been supporting our community 15 plus years. For me, and this is the thing, I didn't even know I was the first openly bisexual city council person. I had no idea. And it was so funny. Someone was like, "Oh, Antonio, we want to interview you about being newly elected." And they were like, in the interview, they're like, "So how does it feel to be the first?" I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I heard it too.
I was like, what? I didn't even know because I've never led with my sexuality, because what I choose to do in my personal life, or who I choose to sleep with, should never, be greater than the work that I'm doing. That should never even really define me. And I've led my whole life like that. And people are like, "Oh, I had no idea you were bisexual." Well, why would you? We're not sleeping together. You know what I'm saying? If we were sleeping together, you would know that, because we would be sleeping together. But it's really interesting how society is so quick to define you. And then they define you so they can place you into this box. And then they try to put a keyhole on the box so that they can lock it and you can never get out of it. But I don't live my life like that. I live my life, and I'm transparent. I'm an open book. You can ask me whatever. Honestly, the hell you want to ask me. I'm an easy kind of person. That's just who I am. But I just don't believe we should be leading our lives through those kinds of things.
Councilman Brown, I got to tell you something. I've been covering politics in Atlanta since 1978. You're not the first bisexual, not the first gay man. First openly. Oh, yes, I'll say that.
Okay. Good.
What about them winning for that district? We have so much conversation about the gulch. We almost talking about development. Then we have all this cry and hue about poverty. It seems like two different worlds we talk about in one district.
It is, and we talked about it earlier. It's interesting because Greg Clay, during the campaign, he would often say that it's a district of three different worlds in this district. And I used to try to understand what he was talking about. But then I got it when I really understood what he was saying, and he's right. It is a district of three different worlds, and I talked about it. You have the very wealthy or the affluent that are more so in the north side of the district towards Atlantic Station, where it's developed and even more development happening, where the area medium income is far greater than what it is on the west side of the district in the Vine City, English Avenue area. And then you have the working middle class that's in the middle of all of these communities, that individuals that are small business owners that are intertwined in and out of both of these areas of the district. And, you know, I thank God for blessing me with the opportunity to be a small business owner coming into this position and knowing it's like to be successful or to understand some sense or a level of success, but also to grow forward to the point where I can connect to what's happening. Yeah, absolutely, and I can also understand the needs from both sides. Because a lot of times I was hearing from residents that they felt forgotten about quite a bit, especially on the north side of the district, where they, and in other areas like Washington Park and Knight Park and some of our other areas felt forgotten about because the city really only focused on the rich or the poor, and they forgot about everybody else in between. So
I'm sure you won't.
No.
Let me ask you one final question, lady. That your first speech before the city council, as I understood, as I heard it, you kind of pleaded or appealed to both the mayor, Keisha Lance Biles, and city council president, Keisha Lance Felicia Moore, to get along, to work together. Is there a rift between the two of them? She says it's not.
There is no rift between President Moore or Mayor Bottoms. To be quite frank, they're both incredible human beings. No one's perfect. You know, I'm getting to know them. And I think they're both really great. And my plea was more or less to say, hey, there's a lot of work to do in District 3, and it's going to take all of us collectively working together to get that work done. And, you know, I also made a plea to the city council members that, you know, endorse my opponent to invest the time in getting to know me, for me, not the rumors, not what you think you know. Get to know me, because we're going to have to work together. It takes 8 votes to pass legislation. And like I mentioned in regards to Mayor Bottoms and President Moore, you know, the Constitution was founded on us working together, the executive branch and the legislative branch. And, you know, that's what we strive to do every day in City Hall. We have to work together to move this city forward. And President Moore is just incredible. She's been a light just along my journey. She has truly, you know, so she's truly someone I respect, that I look up to, that I'm inspired by. And Mayor Bottoms, I feel the same way. I feel like she's a great person. I feel like she really cares about our communities and she wants to make a difference. I want to help support her in moving her agenda forward as well.
Next week, next Monday, I believe, in naming the city council chambers after Marvin Arrington, Judge Marvin Arrington, the former city council president, arguably the best city council president this town has ever had. Ran a classic race against Mayor Jackson, those sort of things. I think, where I said as a journalist, Ms. Felicia Moore comes in number 2 already. She's got the same clout cachet that Arrington did. She just does it in a better way. Finally, what do you bring to the council? Now, you're a new guy. What do you bring to this mix of city council members? What is it? Are you going to be the voice? Are you going to be a character? Are you going to be a problem solver? Or are we going to hear a lot from you? What do you bring to that mix of council members? Everybody has their own style and personality.
You know, for me, I tell people, I'm not in this to be politically correct. So that alone, you know, oftentimes we feel we have to be in positions like this, we have to be politically correct, and I just have no interest in doing that. I'm an independent thinker. You know, I truly believe that I'm a voice for the people, and not just for District 3, but I'm a voice for the people, period. You know, and I bring my background, you know, of growing up in poverty and the conditions and environments that, you know, really weren't conducive of success. I bring that understanding because it relates to our districts, all 12 of our districts. There are people that have struggled, that have, you know, lived in poverty, that are living in poverty, that are struggling today with their businesses as a small business owner. So I think I bring a variety of perspectives to council. And on behalf of my fellow city council members, it's been an honor to get to know the ones that I have been able to meet and get to know. It's just been incredible, just spending time with them. And despite what you may hear or people may think, there are some incredibly brilliant people on city council that are just super smart, that really care about the people and want to make a difference.
You certainly do. Antonio Brown, thank you. Maynard Eaton Councilman, thank you for joining us at Newsmakers, our first show of our 11th season.
I hope I come back.